Facebook real quick so that my Facebook audience can hear me talk about this. And this will give some people some time to get on here and chime in and give a response. But I just had to talk about this shooting because, you know, I've had people call me about this shooting. I've heard about it. And this morning I got up and did a little research about it. And I got to make a video about it because I just feel like that the truth is never out there. The truth is not being presented. At least a logical perspective is not being presented. And I think that it takes somebody like myself to weed through the narrative, weed through the biases, or we call biases or whatever. I don't know, whichever way you want to say it. But to weed through the BS and get down to the brass tacks of everything. So if you're just now joining, you can see it in the description. I'm going to talk about this Stephon Clark's shooting. I think that without a doubt, everybody knows that anytime a person is killed is a tragedy. And the reason why this makes me sick is because I'm so tired of seeing this stuff happen. And I honestly believe that I'm tired for a different reason than a lot of people are tired for. Because time after time after time, we see the same thing happen. We see the same rhetoric. And we see, in my opinion, a huge lack of accountability. And one side is claiming that one side is not being held accountable. The other is, so I'm going to explain it all. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to let you watch a video from the Washington Post. Just kind of a quick synopsis of what they saw, what was reported, and then we'll talk about it. Because a lot of people are talking about this shooting and they haven't seen the video not one time. Have no facts, no information, but want to watch it. So we're going to check it out. I'm going to show you live. I'm going to screen share, and then we'll be able to get this thing rolling live. So just give me 1 second, and we're going to pop up the video. But this is, man, I'm so sick of seeing this stuff, man. I am. I really am. So let's screen share, make this full screen, and we're going to watch this together.
Running south, running to the south.
Hi, what's going on there?
Yeah, guys going down the street breaking windows of cars. He busted both my truck windows out. He busted in the people's backyard right now.
So let me just do a quick commentary on this. So first of all, this young man has broken into 3 vehicles. Eyewitnesses have seen him break into 3 vehicles. He tried to break into somebody's house, and now they're capturing him on flare from the helicopter as he's in somebody else's backyard trespassing and fleeing from the helicopter and police. So keep watching.
All I can tell is he's got a hoodie on. He's running towards the front yard of 29th Street. 29th Street. He's looking into another car that's in between the fence and the front yard.
Over here.
Started ground unit Scott, so it looks like might be getting one at gunpoint.
Hey! Show me your hands! Stay up! Stay up!
So right there, all of this could have been avoided. He gets confronted on the side of the house by the police. They said, show me your hands. Stop, 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 stop. There is no excuse for the people saying that he don't know it's the police because obviously the helicopter's up. He's running from them. And then they confront him and he still runs. Just keep watching.
By south. Show me your hands! Good!
Sorry, shots fired, shots fired.
Copy, shots fired.
Show me your hands!
Now I want to point something out. The flare obviously is a device that allows you to see in the dark. And people are able to, obviously the helicopter is able to see this stuff as if it's lit up. On the right is what they really see. They don't see anything. They can barely see this man. And so the mere glimpse of something in his hand as they're asking them to show him their hands can be perceived as a firearm. They fire shots, not knowing if they're getting shot at or what's going on. And that explains why they shooting multiple times. And I'll explain that here in a second. But regardless, this is not what they see. They're looking at this.
See your hands!
5-7, he's down. No movement. We're going to need additional units. Come in from the west to east of the yard.
Let's see your hands!
You alright? You hit?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright.
He was still pointing when I saw again. You alright, dude?
Yeah, I'm alright. I don't think I'm hit or anything.
So as you can tell, I mean, these guys are in full throttle mode, huffing and puffing. They're not sure if they got hit, if they're injured, what's going on. And I think somebody said there was a controversy regarding them attempting to turn off the cameras 6 minutes after the shooting and everything was over. They muted their cameras, which is not unreasonable because the scene is over. Everything has been already figured out 6 minutes after the shooting, and they don't need to have their mic on recording every single thing they said, because now they're technically under investigation for the shooting. And so the things that they say off camera, unrelated to the incident, does not have to be recorded by body cam. So, but anyway, this is my thing, man. This is my thing. I'm not mad at people saying we need to hold the police accountable. I think that they need to investigate this and make sure the police were acting according to policy, acting according to the law. I'm not against that at all. Do an internal investigation, do your due diligence. But at the same time, the reason why these things will continue to happen is because there is a lack of accountability in these communities. I don't understand. And they present him on TV as a loving father of 2 children. And I'm not saying that he's not. But what I'm saying is that you got a 23-year-old man with 2 kids living with his grandmother. Not even his mom and dad, living with his grandmother. Not living on his own, living with his grandmother. See, nobody wants to talk about those things that are plaguing these communities. Why in the world is this grown man with 2 kids living with his grandmother now? And then beyond that, man, that's not even the totality of what I'm trying to explain. The problem is that why is this man, a father of 2 children, going around breaking into cars, knocking out windows, and attempting to force entry into somebody else's house? At what point do we hold people accountable for that? And then when he's confronted on the side of the house in pretty much pitch black, in darkness, he runs. Then he hides. He's jumping through people's backyards. Like, I don't understand, like, at what point is that not acceptable? At what point do you say, all of this could have been avoided if you just wasn't doing crimes? If he didn't get shot and killed, which is unfortunate for him, he will be going to jail for felonies. Forcing entry into an occupied residence is a felony. And depending on how many cars he damaged, the threshold amount for that could be a felony criminal damage. Like, you're a father of 2 kids and you're living with your grandmother, but instead, in the middle of the night, you're out robbing and committing crimes, and then you can't even get into your own house because you're locked out. See, grandmother already know he be out there in them streets doing stuff he ain't supposed to be doing, but she ain't gonna get on TV and say none of that. And my problem with all of this, and the reason why this makes me sick, is because we're going to continue to see stuff like this happen if we don't take accountability for our own actions. I would imagine 95% of officer-involved shootings involving black people is 100% preventable by black people. 100% preventable by black people. 100%. This situation should have never gotten to that point. Because when they saw him on the side of the house, he should have put his hands up. They said, show us your hands. He should have stopped, gave up, put his hands up. Especially if he's a father of 2 and he's not doing anything. Why are you running and hiding in the backyard and doing all this other stuff? It's all this extra stuff. completely black out there. Freaking grass is thigh high out there. Like, what do you think going to happen when you run and they chasing you and they confront you? You think they're going to give you a hug and give you an Obama phone or something? It's not going to end well. And if you've watched the news in the last 2 or 3 years, at least, people have been arguing about issues with officer-involved shootings, which I don't think that there is really an issue. But in the black community, it's an issue. Why would you put yourself in a position to be the next victim? Completely preventable, man. And it just makes me sick that in these communities, people are so quick to be outraged. People are so quick to be outraged about what law enforcement is doing and won't take accountability for their own actions. I don't understand why in the community we can't do both. It's okay to investigate Michael Brown's death. I'm not saying, we need to find out what happened. There's no body worn camera. Investigate. But at the same time, can you hold Michael Brown accountable? Can you say he had no business robbing a store, and he had no business getting into a physical altercation with a police officer? The police need to be investigated, and we need to hold our own people in our communities accountable. You talk about Eric Garner. I've already described why that he didn't get choked out. Anybody with common sense know there's two different chokes. You got the esophagus, the airflow, and then you got the carotid choke that cut off the blood supply to the brain. Neither one of those occurred in Eric Garner's situation. He was saying, I can't breathe. So his airway wasn't cut off. In 20 seconds of you getting carotid choke like MMA, you tapping out because you about to go unconscious. Neither one of those happened. The officer only had his arm around his neck loosely for 12 seconds. You can go 3 minutes without oxygen before it becomes fatal to the brain. None of those chokes happened. The man died because he was overweight, he was resisting arrest, and his body went into cardiac arrest. He didn't even die at the scene. He died on the way to the hospital of a heart attack. But regardless of that, you can be mad at the cops and you can disagree with what they did. But my God, talk about Eric Garner being arrested 32 times and hold him accountable for resisting arrest. He had 5 or some kids or whatever. Maybe I'm confusing the two other people. He had all these kids and a family, and he's a family man. Then, bro, why don't you just accept the arrest and fight it in court? And you know you were doing the wrong thing because you got arrested 20 some times for that in the past. You know, why can't we hold people accountable? Tamir Rice, you may not like what happened. I think that the officers can argue the justification for it. Obviously, they got off for it. I said it before they even went to court. But you may not like it. It's okay to be outraged and mad at that. That's your opinion. But can you hold Tamir Rice's mom and Tamir Rice accountable and say, well, you shouldn't be running around pointing a gun at people as they're running from you? Teach your kids not to be pointing guns at people because people may believe that it's a real gun. Can you do that for me, please? You know, I was on national TV. I was on there like 6 times talking about police shootings, but 2 of them, people are outraged and their family members are the ones that are the problem. You know, we got a kid that gets pulled over. He's underage. He's not even 18. He got a handgun. First of all, he's illegally possessing a handgun. The officers find weed on him, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. They gets to the gun. He runs. He pulls the gun out, almost shoots his friend, and then shoot the cop right in the face. Barely missed the cop by a 1/4 inch. And then they shoot him back, and now we out in the street protesting and burning stuff. It's just, I don't understand, man. You know, I'm just a normal person. And I have police experience, so I understand protocol and I understand what people are going through. And I've been in these situations. I've been in backyards just like these cops have been. I've been in situations where there's so low level lighting that you can't really see nothing. And you better act before you get shot. And it's not their fault that their cell phone appeared to be a gun to them. It's his fault. He had no business doing none of that stuff he was doing. Now, I understand the loss of your grandson getting shot in the backyard. You're going to be hurt. I don't care if he shot the police and they shot him back. You're going to be hurt. That's your baby. That's your grandson. He lives with you. You've been knowing him for 23 years. I understand the hurt. I understand the outrage. But at the same time, if we're going to ever overcome, we're going to ever get something done, we're going to have to look at the totality of everything. We can't just go off emotions. You know, you got NBA players saying, where's the justice? Man, why weren't you talking to that brother when he was out there robbing cars and stealing and committing crimes? It's like we don't care until it's fatal. We don't care about the little foxes until they get dealt with. And then we don't even care if we kill each other. It's only when the cops kill us. And my problem with this is that you look at officer-involved shootings around the country. I think I looked at the statistics, I think it was last year. I think it was like 17 unarmed people were shot by police in the whole country, 365 days in a year, 17 people. Obviously, if you look at the stats, twice as many white people were shot by cops than black people. So you can say, based on the ratio, that more of those people were white than black. But we could say that all 17 were black. Just say that all 17, 365 days in a year, 17 black people were killed. The percentage of deaths per day is, I can't do the percentage, but it's really low, obviously. Now, in Chicago alone, 14 to 17 people die every week. So you have 17 people to 14 people dying every week, 52 times a year. And not one protest have been made in one city in this country. We're not even talking about, we're not going to talk about Baltimore. We're not going to talk about the Bronx. We're not going to even talk about Oakland. We're not going to talk about South Dallas. We're not going to talk about Missouri. We're not going to talk about Dade County, Florida. We're not going to talk about any of these areas where brothers are dying by the thousands. But yet, we won't even hold ourselves accountable for a young man committing crimes and not even giving up when the police come to him. What we should be saying as a community is that we need to investigate these crimes, but we need to also make a difference in our community. There is no reason for that boy to be doing what he's doing. Give up when the police come to you. Do not resist arrest. That should be what they out there chanting. Because I can't see none of these young black dudes the last 5 years that would have died, except maybe 2 or 3 of them that would have died. But no, let me say this. None of these brothers would be dead if they hadn't been committing crimes or resisting arrest. None of them. Now, a few of them were unjustified shootings. I've seen it with my own eye, unjustified shootings. Only one of them was completely unjustified from start to finish. The guy wasn't even resisting. He went in his car as the police officer told him to, and the police started shooting. Thank God he didn't die. He's gonna be a multi-millionaire. But some of these other ones, people are still resisting arrest, fighting the police, and then the police shoot the guy in the back after he got into a physical altercation. All of that could have been avoided if you just don't fight the police. And people want to get mad at me, but you got to understand this. Why is this only an epidemic in the black community? Why? Why don't we see these things happening in the Hispanic community? Why don't we see these things happen in Native American community, Asian community, white community, Polynesian community, Somalian community, the immigrant community? Why don't we see these phenomenons happen in these communities? It's culture. And nobody wants to identify it's culture. We do not, in the black community in America, we have a hard time, and I'm not saying everybody, but we have a hard time holding our own selves accountable for anything. You know, and that's the biggest problem that we're facing. And this is why I get sick to my stomach every time I see a young man die, because this is 100% preventable by black people. These cops wouldn't even have been there if they wouldn't have got a call of a man breaking into vehicles and trying to force entry into an occupied residence. They wouldn't even be there. And even when they showed up, if the brother would have stopped when they said, "Stop, show us your hands," we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And it just sickens me why we can't do both. And these NBA players wearing t-shirts, it's just sickening to me, man. We don't understand how ignorant we are being portrayed by the rest of the world. In the black community, it sounds good. For all this stuff sounds right. To the rest of the world, we just look stupid doing this stuff. Because people that live in these areas, these high-poverty areas, and they watching young brothers die every day, and they watching innocent kids getting killed by gang members and stuff in the black community, and they don't see nothing from these celebrities. They don't even the celebrities don't even know the last person that died in their own community. But then when the stuff hit the news, they all wearing t-shirts in some solidarity. But not one time do they actually go to these communities and incorporate wealth structure, do things like help these kids in graduation and scholarships. These guys aren't really doing much of that. They're not physically going. You can get money all you want. You need to physically go and be an example. They don't even live in these communities. Like, they can wear t-shirts, but they don't want to do much for the community. And I'm gonna tell you like this, and I'm gonna make a prediction, just like I've always made. It's gonna be almost impossible to convict these officers for murder in the court of law. When you have all of these contributing circumstances, by every right, this kid should have gave up a long time ago. They confronted him, and he presented himself as a threat by running and hiding. And when they got around the corner, here he's presenting himself, and they said, "Show us your hands," and he have an object in his hand. And at their vantage point, they can articulate that they were in fear of serious bodily injury and or death. And people may have an argument or want to be combative about how many shots were fired. Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. If you ain't never been in a gunfight, you probably don't understand none of this stuff. But you got two officers. When the shots start ringing out, they both are gonna start shooting until the threat is eliminated. That's just the way it is. And to be honest, when you're shooting, you don't know if you're getting shot at. That officer said he had a gun. That officer thought that he had a gun. And when he fired his first shot, he don't know if he expecting the guy to be shooting back. You don't look at somebody and say, gun, 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 and shoot them and be like, oh, they're not shooting back. They're not. You expecting there to be a gunfight. That's why you pulling the trigger as fast as you pulling the trigger, because you're expecting to shoot him before he shoots you, because he has a gun. And to be honest, I don't even think both of those officers were white. But that's nor here nor there. Why are we constantly on television and nobody else is doing the same? These other communities aren't having these same issues. You know, my whole philosophy is, if you go to job to job to job, you go from this state to this state, and you always having problems everywhere you go, it's probably you. And if every single city in America uniquely, I'm talking about even in these low-end areas, if black people are uniquely having problems with law enforcement, maybe there should be a look in the mirror and say, maybe it's us. Maybe we have something to do with this. Maybe it's not every police officer in America is just racist against black people. Maybe the culture that is being presented in some of these communities are inherently negative. I will never in my life do what this kid did. I never. I'm a father of one. I will never do that. What reason do I have to be out in the middle of the night, you know, running from the police, breaking into people's cars? I mean, there's absolutely no excuse to be doing that. Why would I be sitting in front of a store selling loose leaf cigarettes? And I've been arrested 31 times already. Like, like, I will never do that. Why? Because it's against the law. Why? Because I don't want police interaction. I have no need to be interacting with police. I will never go to a store and steal cigarillos and push the clerk in the store. Why? Because that's going to necessitate me to be involved with police officers. I just don't understand. Police pull me over. I'm gonna put my hands on the steering wheel. I'm gonna listen to what they tell me to do. I've done it plenty of times. Like, I'm not gonna ever run from the police for no reason whatsoever. I have no reason to run from police. Even if I'm wrong, I have no reason to run from police. How is that not like common sense 101? I have no reason to go around and point a fake gun at people. I have no reason to go into Walmart and get a firearm and walk around and play with a freaking gun in Walmart. You know why? Because I'm like, what if people think this is a real gun? When the police get here, they don't have time to try to diagnose if I got a gun or not. I'm probably going to get shot. So I'm not going to do any of this. I've had plenty of interactions with police. Man, put your doggone hands up. You have no reason to do anything other than that. I remember when I was in college and I was ignorant to it, but we got into a fight on a bus with some frat boys. And they called my friend an N-word and he punched him in the forehead. Boom. And the fight was on. And I only assisted one of my friends who was getting jumped on from the back. I didn't swing on nobody or nothing. I just kind of, gave him a snug, you know what I'm saying? And when we got off the thing, somebody had called the police and the police rolled up and they came after us and we wasn't even guilty. And, initially they were going to tackle me to the ground. And I jumped up and was like, I got my hands up like this, like, hey, I ain't doing nothing. Like, help me. You know what I'm saying? I'm surrendering. Because, and then that was before I even became a cop. Now I know I should have done things a little different than that. But like, I could have ran. I could have resisted. They ended up not even taking me to the ground and not even put me in handcuffs. They ended up making me sit on the curb. And then once they got it all figured out, they found out that the other kids were responsible and they went to jail. The other kids went to jail. So it's like you have no reason to be doing none of that stuff. And as a police officer, I understand that like stuff can go south fast. I've been there, man. I understand when you're in low lit situations with low lighting and all the thing you got is your tack light to guide you. Like, man, bro, people can't, the cop cannot see you. You need to really be paying attention to what you're doing. I'm talking about, like, people think cops are like robots or something. Bro, when your life is on the line and you think you about to die, your body do something unique. Your heart rate rushes. Dexterity in your hands decrease. That's stuff that you cannot, time lapses and stuff that you cannot control. And you can never train a human to be completely numb, to feeling like they about to die. And when you get in that situation, stuff happen like this. You reacting like this. And me being a police officer, I understand that. So I want to impress upon these young people, bro, what do you think gonna happen if you breaking into cars and you running from police in the middle of the night in complete pitch blackness? They heart is running like this. They don't know why you doing this. Why you running? They don't know that that's your grandma's house. For all they know, you trying to break into somebody else's house. We need to be spending more time teaching our young people how to act than to be trying to blame the police officers. Instead of you crying when your grandbaby laying there dead, you need to be impressing upon him good morals and character. And I guarantee you grandma done told him 100 times not to do what he did. I guarantee you grandma like, boy, don't be out there doing, y'all, I wasn't born yesterday. I used to do stuff. I got family members doing life in prison. Grandma and them told you, don't be out there doing that. Don't be out there messing with them drugs. Grandma be telling you, and they don't listen. That's why he couldn't even get into his own house. Grandma probably told him, you take your behind out there at midnight, we shutting the doors around here. You're not just gonna be coming in and out the house all times of the night. Grandma probably told him, he running around in a hoodie robbing stuff. Grandma and them like, we locking the doors at 10. You in or you out? They over here watching his kids while he out here committing crimes. And then he going knocking on the door trying to get in. Grandma and them told you, you shouldn't be out. Where your key at? Where your key at? Where's your key? See, people don't want to talk about that, man. And then I'm going to say this and then I'm going to let it go. The reason why I've been 100% right on every single officer involved shooting that I have spoke about, because obviously I understand the law and I've done this for a living. People do not understand what it feels like to be a police officer on a call from start to finish. And you think you know, you have no idea unless you're actually there. And even if you did a ride along, you still don't have no idea, because on a ride along, you don't have no responsibility. You can just listen and sit in the car. Like, everybody has their level of experiences that they have in their mind. So when officers get a call of a man burglarizing places and doing stuff, they already building the image of what could possibly happen. They could have seen a video of police officers getting killed in an ambush. A police officer may have been killed in Sacramento in that same situation, which could then make these officers way more vigilant. And see, the problem is that black people, by and large, don't even patrol their own communities, which leads me to believe that they don't even know, the police officers know more about their communities than they do. Why? Because while you sleep for 8 hours at night, police officers are patrolling your communities and dealing with all the issues that you will never deal with. Grandma and them sleep. They out all night. They know the last person who died in the community. They know how he died. They know who the suspect is. They've made the arrest. They know how much drugs are going around your community. They know who's selling the drugs. They know what was the last overdose. They know who beat up who. They know who has a restraining order against who. They understand all the dirt in your community. And half of y'all sleep while they doing their job. And y'all just living a peaceful life. You know, and what do you know about your community? I can ask any of these social justice warrior people in their own community and say, who's the last black person that died in your community? See, I don't know who died in my community because I'm not a cop anymore. But when I was a cop, I knew who the last person that died in the community. I knew who the last person died. I knew who's the last DV when I was on duty. I know all the DV suspects, who's wanted and who's not wanted. But people in the community just living their life. Go in their house, it's so safe. I arrested the guy who was trying to burglarize your house and you would never know because he's in jail right now. I caught him before he went to your house. I arrested him already. I arrested your deranged boyfriend who was trying to come kill you, but I was able to intercept him. You would never know because you were asleep, but now he's in jail for violating the restraining order. But see, these things happen and people act like, I mean, when you patrol a community where people are killing each other like ants, when they killing each other like bugs, like they just stomping on each other, they don't even care. Then when somebody run around the house, the first thing you thinking is like, bro, this dude ain't trying to play patty cake with us. He not trying to throw the football in the backyard. We come around this corner, he might kill us. Why? Because people in this community don't even mind killing each other. What make you think they ain't gonna kill one of us? That's a community problem. That's not a law enforcement problem. When you got people in the community murdering each other every day, what do you think the police think? They on high alert. Go to Hollywood. Police officers probably will feel comfortable not even carrying a gun in Hollywood. Why? Because nobody killing nobody in Hollywood. Okay, go down to you know, the toughest parts of LA. And I don't even know if this is in LA County, but because I have no idea about how this works in California. I don't even go to California. I don't even like California. But, you know, I know some of the crime areas that dudes that play ball with me would tell me. Watts is a high crime area, gang infested. I bet you $1 million the cops that patrol Hollywood and versus the cops that patrol Watts are on two different pages. I remember when I worked in Tucson Police Department. People that worked in Oro Valley were different cops than people that worked in the city of Tucson. Different cops. They had 1, 2, 3 calls a month on the midnight shift. I mean, I took like 10, 12 calls on the midnight shift every night by myself. That's not even including all the other calls and all the other officers. You know, we got 1,200 calls per day in the city of Tucson. 1,000 or 1,200, depending on the season. Oro Valley probably have like 10 calls a month. Now, just imagine working in a community where people are killing people every single day, murdering each other every day. That's not including assault and robbery. Imagine how vigilant the officers have to be. Because these people don't give a F. They will kill each other. They will definitely kill you. But that's not a contributing factor. Let's act like that don't exist. Let's act like they don't exist. Let's act like they don't exist. And police officers are robots and they just walk around like this. And there's a crime. There's not a crime. They don't care. Police officers in Hollywood and police officers in Watts think the same thing. They treat all the citizens the same. Yeah. In your ignorant world, that is true. Oh my God. When they come to a scene and they get the call, they also know that this guy's name is Stephon Clark. This is hypothetically what people want you to believe. That when they get the call, this is how the call comes in. Hi. So Stephon Clark is not a criminal. He's not going to hurt you guys. He's just burglarizing cars for no reason. But he's actually going to run to his grandmother's house and try to get into the back door. He has a cell phone in his hand and he don't really have a gun. He has 2 kids and he's a family man. We just want you to know that when you're en route to the call, officers, okay? So you have all the information you need. Thank you. Goodbye. It don't work like that. They don't even know who this kid is. They don't even know if he's a kid or an adult. They have no idea. They don't know nothing about his family. They know nothing about his intentions. And if a person is burglarizing cars and trying to break into houses, that person's intentions are not good. But I think I beat a dead horse, man. And I'm going to give a quick second for people to ask questions because this kind of went long. I'm going to give a quick second for people to ask questions. Hey, man, thank you guys for the super chats. I've been running my mouth so long, I've been missing them. So I've seen them, but I haven't been able to answer them. But I appreciate y'all with the super chats. I dare somebody to disagree with me. I dare somebody to disagree with me about this young man's life. And nobody can disagree at the fact that he shouldn't have been doing nothing he was doing. And I guess I got trolls on here saying it was his fault he got shot 20 times. Well, see, he got shot at 20 times. 20 shots didn't hit that kid. I saw some of them bouncing off the ground. So, and nobody knows that until they have the autopsy. But people love to say he was shot 20 times. No, he wasn't. They fired 20 shots. That don't mean 20 rounds hit him. He probably only got hit by. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. This is another thing that people just so stupid, and it just made me mad because I just wish y'all would shut up if you have no idea what you're talking about. If those 2 officers hit him 20 out of 20, they have to be marksmen on the SWAT team. Hiding around the corner, they hit him 20 out of 20. I will give somebody on here $100 if those officers hit him 20 out of 20 rounds. I will pick a person on here, and after the autopsy come back, I'll pick a person on here and send them $100. I guarantee you they barely hit him. They probably hit him like 6 or 7 times out of 20. Man, when you under pressure like that, bro, you ain't aiming. He went down and they were still shooting because they couldn't really see what he was doing. They were probably missing him. He probably only got shot like 5 times. Oh, but they love to say, oh, he got shot 20 times. Well, you need to make sure you got your facts right. Just because they shot 20 rounds don't mean he got hit 20 times. Anybody know anything about law enforcement? Anybody know anything about shootings? You know that people ain't aiming that good when they shooting under pressure. They're not aiming that good. Especially when the guy's moving and shit, he in bushes and all kind of other stuff. Anyway, so, but I'm not mad. See, this ain't affecting me to a certain degree because My son ain't gonna be in this stuff. And if my son was to do what he did and get shot, I'm gonna be hurt. But I ain't finna go around acting like my son. I'm gonna be like, he shouldn't have done this. I told that boy not to do that. I told that boy not to be running around these streets like that. I'm hurt because he dead. But I mean, what do I gotta say? That boy had no business doing that. I'm just so sick of this, man. I'm just sick of it, man. I'm just sick of it, man. And I just have to get this off my chest, man. You know, I think the problem in our country is culture. I think the problem in our country and the reason why African-American people are going to continue to go through these things is because they, as a whole, in these communities, they will not take accountability for their own actions. Ever. No, never. Never. I mean, grandma already knows she probably told him not to do that, and yet still, she still won't tell the truth on TV. You got Crump them pumping her up and have her crying and showing pictures of her crying. Oh, my grandson is so... They didn't show her when she was crying when he was acting a fool. Where's his daddy at? Where's that boy's daddy at? Why is he living with his grandmother? Man, I guarantee you, if my son does something like that, his grandmother ain't gonna be on TV. I'm gonna be on TV. I'm gonna be the one talking. I'm gonna be the one hurt. I'm gonna be the one mad. Anyway, these people rioting and man, I don't understand. Like, I wish that a black person would come on my show and explain to me the truth. Like, explain to me the truth, man, because we getting a bad rap out here in the rest of the world. We getting a bad rap in the black community because we steady protesting justified shootings or even shootings that haven't been investigated thoroughly yet. We already protesting, but we not saying nothing about these people, what these kids are doing to get shot. The rest of the world looking at y'all like y'all stupid. And you and like I got a couple trolls on here. Y'all can go around and beat your chest and try to say the white man and all this other stuff. You are losing this battle. You are losing this battle. You're losing in court. You're losing morally. And no other culture is going through this but black people. You losing, man. Y'all can laugh all you want and call me a sellout and say whatever you want. But at the end of the day, that's your kids that's dying. That's your kids because you refuse to tell them the truth. You refuse to impart in them skills that they need to know when they get grown so they don't get killed by police for doing something stupid. That's your community. I don't live in your community. I won't live in a community like that because communities like that don't hold each other accountable. When was the last protest out here in the community I live in? Why? Kids ain't out here doing nothing like that. Kids ain't out here doing that. Like, the last two communities. When was the last time somebody got shot in my community, the last two communities I live in? Because people ain't doing nothing like that. And when they do, they get shot. Like, for instance, when I lived in Marana, had a guy at the freaking Walmart walk up to a police officer with a gun in his hand. A police officer shot and killed him. Did anybody protest? No, because he was wrong. Dang. I feel like white people don't protest because they wrong. White people don't protest justified shootings. Black people do. I don't understand the concept behind that. White people don't even protest unjustified shootings. They let the court system play it out. And sometimes it may not go in their favor. But my God, Alton Sterling got a gun in his pocket, wrestling with the police. Reaching for the gun, he gets shot, and we out here protesting. If a white person did that and got shot, white people would not be protesting. What is wrong with our culture? And people don't want to hear me say it, but man, face the music, brother. In your own circle, you can talk and laugh and be like, "Oh, Brandon is sellout." Look at how the world looks at our community. We just look so stupid. that we only protest when a police kill a black man, but we have an epidemic of other issues in the black community that none of us even care about. They're not wearing a shirt for single parent homes, are they? No. That's the root cause of why we going through so much problems. It's because of single parent homes. They're not wearing t-shirts about unemployment. They're not wearing t-shirts about black criminals, drug dealers. Stop the drug dealing. They'll never wear a shirt that says stop selling drugs to our kids. They'll never wear that shirt. They'll never wear that shirt. And their aunties are running around like zombies because they smoking crack every day. But they won't wear a shirt like, help my auntie get out crack. They won't wear a shirt like that. They don't care about their auntie. But then when their auntie end up on the freeway hallucinating and end up getting a suicide by cop, now they mad. Now they protesting. But they weren't mad when that dude was selling their auntie crack every day. They weren't mad when these fathers were walking out of the house and they didn't have 2 or 3 kids with a girl and leave her by herself. They need to wear a shirt like men need to go back home. Men need to take care of their kids. You need to move out your grandma's house and get a real job instead of robbing people and then getting shot by the police. They'll never wear a shirt like that. Ever. Never. Those are what's killing us. Graduate from school. Give us better books. Well, matter of fact, some of these NBA, NFL players, boxers, they can pay for books in all these communities if they wanted to. But no, they want to drive Maseratis. You know, I heard LeBron James spend $1 million a year on his body, getting massages and hyperbaric chambers and all this other stuff. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with spending $1 million on your body. But don't complain if there's schools in Cleveland that are not fully funded, because you have the money to fully fund all these schools if you wanted to as one person. You look at these dudes that are making all this money. They don't live in the hood. They don't live in the hood. Oh, don't give me that. You don't even live in the hood. Why don't you buy a house in the hood? Why don't you build capital in the hood? Oh, because you don't want to live there. Why? Because they'll knock you off and won't care about it. They'll never wear a t-shirt like that. I can't live in the hood. I can't go back to my own hood. Man, I would never buy a house in some of the places where I lived at. Never. Why? Why? Too much crime. It's too much thuggery. Too much gang banging. I mean, y'all, oh my God. If you ain't never lived in the hood, you don't know what I'm talking about. I feel comfortable parking my car outside of my apartment here. I feel comfortable. I've never had my car broke. I haven't had my car broken into. I don't know. I can't even name last time my car broken into. In any community that I chose to live in. Man, you live in the hood, man, you can't keep your car parked outside. Man, somebody will steal your car. Somebody will break into your car. It's expected. If you have a nice car, you got to pull your car in the garage. Somebody will break into your car. And it may be a crackhead because they're trying to get something to steal so they can pawn it in for crack. That's why people don't live in these communities. But the people of other community can put together 600, 700, 1,000 people to go march in one police shooting, and they can't even put together an effort to help none of the other people in the black community. It's sad, man. I bet somebody has already died from black on black crime in Sacramento, probably that same week. And nobody in the community cares about that person and his family and his kids. You know, and then they grow up to be this kid who then gets shot by the police. Anyway, I was going to give y'all some questions, but I don't see no questions coming in. Man, they know better, man. I know what it is. See, I ain't never even lived in Watts. I think Watts, Compton is worse than where I grew up at. I don't even think where I grew up at was just that bad, to be quite honest, compared to these places. But man, these NBA players ain't finna go back down there. They ain't going down there. I'm telling you, Lil Ray Ray will steal your Maserati and blow your head off. And don't care. Nobody gonna snitch. Bro, these people will knock you off and won't care, man. They probably will take pride in knocking off LeBron James. Uber guy said 2 shootings since you're live. So there's been 2 shootings that have occurred since I've been live on this in the last 50 minutes. 2 shootings. 2 shootings. They ain't gonna say nothing about them shootings. They're not gonna even talk about it. And I'm telling you, this shooting could be a little kid that got shot by a stray bullet from a drive-by. Crickets. 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 These police officers are probably gonna get off on these charges. The chief is you know what? I want to say his name and start with a P. The chief is a sellout. Implicit bias is BS. I'm tired of people saying that. Implicit bias only applies to white people. It only applies to white people. These terms only apply to white people. As if white people are the only ones that can be racist and biased. And as if every white person is racist. I can't stand it. That chief was like, that race was inevitably, is always a factor with implicit bias. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Such a sellout, man. So he probably fired him, but I guarantee you they're not gonna get charged in court. And I could get charged in court, man. Because I honestly think by looking at the video and that kid's characteristics and the way he was acting, his mannerism, the low lighting, hiding behind bushes and coming up with an object in his hand in pitch black darkness, with all of those circumstances combined together, them telling him to stop, he refused to stop. He had every opportunity to give up and surrender when they can see his hands. But he goes around the back of the house and presents himself as a threat. And it's not, just because we know it's a cell phone now, don't mean that goes into consideration when they started shooting him. They thought it was a gun. It could have very well been a gun. They didn't know it wasn't a gun until they walked up on him and they saw it was a cell phone. Y'all don't understand. I think they're going to go over this in court. And he's going to say, I thought it was a gun. We said, show us your hands. And he went like this. And I saw some black in the distance on his phone. It looked like a gun. It looked like a gun to me. And so I shot him. And he didn't go down at first. And then when he went down, I thought he was hiding. So I kept shooting because I thought he was hiding. And then I finally saw that he wasn't moving anymore and we stopped shooting. And the other officer may say, I thought he was shooting at us. That's why I kept shooting. These cops can come up with all of these defenses that can be very well legitimized in court. And here we go again. They're going to be mad. And y'all, I think we're going to have a civil war in this country, man. I think we're going to have a civil war in this country. It's just getting ridiculous, man. I've been running my mouth too much, but it's getting ridiculous.